Oh, what's up, everybody? That was a weird intro. Yeah, man. Check out our new setup, new equipment. Got all new stuff going on here. Really excited about this. We just started going live. If you're joining us on YouTube, actually, I'm going to cut this out for the audio. So, yeah, you will be joining us on YouTube if you see this. We got the Streamlabs background with a bunch of fancy stuff instead of just seeing this boring white background in our streaming studio. Now we got this awesome setup here. And shout out to James Strecker, the DCAU Watchtower, for helping us out with the setup. So yeah, as you can tell by the title, obviously, we are going to hop on soon enough and start our review for the DC Showcase short Blue Beetle. It was a lot of fun. I really like this short. Yeah, so we're going to jump into that in just a second, but I am going to start letting people filter in. I know video is different from the podcast. I am learning. I come from the world of podcasting, so just kind of bear with us here while we make these transitions to YouTube. But it's been a lot of fun. Like last week, I went a little more off script with going live, and I'm just getting more used to going live. Again, I come from the world of podcasting, so it's a lot different. But yeah, most of YouTube is not scripted stuff, so we got to mix it up. Again, I'm going to have stuff that will be available for the podcast, but starting it out here, again, it's just a totally different animal. So if you guys are just filtering in, again, Blue Beetle, we're going to review that and let us know what you think of Blue Beetle. We got you live in the chat. I'm hoping this works. It is new to me. This is the very first time we're using any of this background, and, stepping up the quality. Quality is important, right? Quality over quantity. All right. It's kind of hard to be present and do all this at once, but I think I'll be okay. I think I'm going to be all right. All right. So, oh, yep. All right. All right. So I'm going to get the podcast started, and yeah, bear with us. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the DC Animated Movie Show, a YouTube series and podcast for the prestigious, ongoing catalog of DC animated movies. I am your host, Benjamin David. If you're new here to the YouTube channel, then welcome to Above and Batman Beyond. And the audio from today's episode will also be on our DC Animated Movie Show podcast, so be sure to subscribe to both. So tonight we review the newest of DC Showcase animated shorts, and that is Blue Beetle. It dropped digitally on July 27th, and then the Blu-ray on August 10th. It was included with Batman The Long Halloween Part 2. Speaking of Long Halloween Part 2, if you haven't seen a review of the new flick, definitely go back, check that out. I'll put the episode links in the description below, and you can find that review in both video and audio form. Video is right here on the YouTube channel, and the audio is up on the DCAM's podcast feed. Since we are on YouTube, please let us know in the comments below what you thought of Blue Beetle or Long Halloween Part 2, or any other questions or comments on DC animated movies. Let's see if anybody's in the chat. Patty chat, not yet. So before we jump into it, if you're new here at the channel, please consider subscribing on YouTube. Click that notification bell so you don't miss any of our new content. And for the podcast listeners, please subscribe to the pod, just like the vid series. We are DC Animated Movie Show. You can find the podcast on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Again, this particular episode is available in both video and audio form, so you get to pick your poison for today's show. But again, please subscribe to both, since there's plenty of YouTube stuff you're obviously not going to find in the podcast, and vice versa. Follow us on Instagram. We are at DC Animated Movie Show. And follow the YouTube channel as well. We are at Batman Beyond Media. All right. I think we're ready to go here. All right, for those of you watching on YouTube, once again, comment below with your thoughts on the new Blue Beetle short. If you haven't seen Blue Beetle yet, then please keep in mind this is a spoiler review. And for the YouTube audience, for those in chat, let me know if everything sounds okay, if volume is good, if you can see me okay. So first we'll talk about some Blu-ray and release details for Blue Beetle. Also going to hit some live action news for Blue Beetle, because that's some pretty new stuff. And then, of course, we'll get to my review. But before we do that, as always, let's check in with the trusty Internet Movie Database for some quick IMDb trivia on DC Showcase Blue Beetle. I almost said The Losers. All right, so check this out, guys. You ready to be impressed? You ready for Benjamin to step into the modern day of streaming and actually be able to show you some fancy stuff? But yeah, for the audio listeners, I am able to now, let's see if this works, show you guys IMDb while I'm live here on YouTube. How exciting is this, guys? Are you not crazy excited for that? So yeah. Sorry, so Blue Beetle is directed by Milo Newman. Matt Lanter is Blue Beetle himself. Tom Kenny is Dr. Spectro. David Kaye is the Question. Ashley Birch is Nightshade. And Jeff Bennett is Captain Atom / Pops. It's written by Jeremy Adams. Jeremy Adams, if you're not familiar, was the writer of Mortal Kombat Legends Scorpion Revenge from 2020. Absolutely love that movie. He was also the writer of Batman Soul of the Dragon. He did JS World War II. I like the previous two a little better, but really excited to have him back. Music is by Robert J. Kral, and casting is by Wes Gleason. So look at us, guys. How fancy is this? Screen sharing while live. Yeah, Ben. Go, Ben. No, I am really excited to do this. I was pretty tired of both the sound quality before and the and the lack of, being able to show you guys what's going on in IMDb and everything else. So, and there's Blue Beetle again. Yeah, man. So proud of myself. So the IMDb synopsis. The Silver Age Blue Beetle is back. Thrill to the adventures of Ted Kord, alias the Blue Beetle, as he teams up with fellow heroes Captain Atom, the Question, and Nightshade to battle the nefarious finangler of feelings, Dr. Spectro. Again, Blue Beetle dropped digitally on 7/27 and then August 10th on Blu-ray, along with Batman: The Long Halloween Part 2 is included with the feature. So the Blue Beetle short is directed once again by Milo Newman. We already just went over all this stuff, as well as IMDb. In case you're not familiar, Matt Lanter is Arthur Curry, Aquaman from Throne of Atlantis. I always make that voice because Sam Witwer was the voice of Orm the Ocean Master, and I think he overacted that, although people really did love his performance, and from what I hear, he's a good actor otherwise. But yeah, just Throne of Atlantis is what I always call it because of Sam Witwer. But yeah, Matt Lanter was also... he was Anakin Skywalker, a young Darth Vader in, Clone Wars as well as Rebels. And then, like I said, Aquaman. So it's funny that he was like a young Aquaman, young Darth Vader. Pretty funny. And, yeah, I thought everybody did great. David Kaye is the Question. Perfect. Absolutely perfect casting. I'm not familiar with, what was her name? Ashley... Sorry, my computer's running really slow. Ashley Birch, I wasn't familiar with her. She was Nightshade. And Jeff Bennett, once again, was Captain Atom. Tom Kenny, I'm familiar with him. He was Dr. Spectro. So yeah, great cast. To go over the showcase shorts themselves. So we talked about this on our Losers review as well as Kamandi Last Boy on Earth. But just to catch you up, Rick Morales is the producer of the Blue Beetle short, along with 4 DC Showcase shorts total for 2021. So back in January when DC announced their new lineup of shorts, they also announced that Morales was set to produce all 4. So in addition to Blue Beetle, the other 3 shorts this year are Kamandi Last Boy on Earth, like I mentioned, The Losers, and Constantine. We have some more DC Showcase coverage on our Death in the Family review. That's right here in the YouTube channel. Definitely check that out. Also from IGN, these shorts will be included as part of the upcoming releases of DC Universe Movies collections, with the exception of the lengthier Constantine film, which will serve as an anchor for a collection of short films in 2022. All 4 new short films are being produced by Rick Morales, like I said before, who previously worked on Mortal Kombat's Scorpion's Revenge. So yeah, it's pretty interesting that all 4 of the shorts this year are produced by the same guy, again, Rick Morales, and then also coming out with, again, this Constantine short that's going to come out with Injustice, I believe in the fall or November. Don't quote me on that, but I believe Injustice comes out in the fall. That's our next DC animated movie. And along with that is going to be Constantine. But what's also interesting is that Constantine short is going to, quote, once again, serve as an anchor for a collection of short films in 2022. So that's pretty cool. Whereas it's only going to be what it seems like as I'm assuming like an animated connected series of short films for Constantine. That's a really rich world. I mean, that's a great idea. There's so many people in that universe you could open it up. Yeah, I mean, if you know your Constantine and the whole dark universe, you got everybody that you want in there. Also from IGN, Blue Beetle and Constantine are certainly the more well-known properties, obviously compared to The Losers and Kamandi the Last Boy on Earth. So it's cool to get a slightly better-known character. Blue Beetle has appeared, also from IGN, Blue Beetle has appeared in several DC series, including Batman the Brave and the Bold and Young Justice. several DC series, meaning Batman animated series, or I should say DC animated series, not just talking about DC comic series. So we have gotten some Blue Beetle in the case of Brave and the Bold, it's going to be Ted Kord. And then in the case of Young Justice, of course, Jaime Reyes. So we're going to talk about the differences there. And also the casting, of course, is the live action casting is going to be for Jaime Reyes because the upcoming movie is a Jaime movie. It's not a Ted Kord movie. So again, we're going to hit some Blu-ray and release details to wrap that up, I should say. Again, the Blue Beetle dropped digitally on 7/27 and then August 10th on Blu-ray. Long Halloween release details are kind of weird. Check out our previous reviews of Long Halloween to check out exactly just why it's so weird, but it's not worth really going over in this case. All you need to know is this movie was released normally. I should say Long Halloween Part 2 was released normally as opposed to 7/27 and then the Blu-ray on August 10th. Constantine, I mentioned this before, is coming up with Injustice also on this Blu-ray to finish up Blu-ray details. You know, these shorts are usually they're extra features provided with a DC animated features, right? So it's like you'll get a short, you'll get the sneak peek in this case for Injustice, right? That came with the newest DCAM. So I should say the DCAM feature. So you got the sneak peek for Injustice, you got other like filler content as well. And then again, the short. That's kind of been most of the newer releases of the DCAMs. DC animated movies have had kind of that as a special feature situation. And then part 1 came with The Losers. So Long Halloween Part 1 came with The Losers. Once again, if you want to see our review for that, it's here on the channel. And then the audio is on the DCAM's podcast feed. So subscribe. Again, let us know how sound is on this. I'm so excited. Sound is big for me. So again, coming from podcasting, it's like, I want to make sure sound is solid. I was so tired of, weirdly, I had the good like sound recorder, but it for whatever reason, I couldn't get the stick mic to work. The mic you're looking at now with the software I had before. Now that I got this going, I'm really hoping you guys like the audio as much as I do. Tested it out last night. Sounded great. Really excited to have it going. So yeah, some initial thoughts. I mean, look, I'm not going to really worry about spoilers in this. This is a Silver Age inspired. It's like you're watching a 60s, 70s cartoon. So we're just going to jump into it. But I guess here are some initial thoughts. I love the TV intro / music. Like it's just flat out, once again, 60s, 70s, Silver Age, DC cartoon. Feels like you're watching Super Friends. Feels like you're watching, especially I thought the new, not New Batman Adventures, the New Adventures of Batman from the 70s when they still had Burt Ward and Adam West. They came back, but it was very 70s. Felt a lot like that. Very 70s music. I love it. There was literally film grain on it. Like it's a 2021 DC animated movie and they put film grain on it. Very cartoonish. Once again, like an animated series from the 60s, 70s. The sound effects were very cartoonish. Voice work, very, very big accents or very big voices that they do. And everyone sounds like they're from the 60s and the 70s. Meanwhile at the Hall of Justice, that type of thing. So they did Batman 66 transitions that were a lot of fun. So I'll go through them, but we'll go through specifics as we go through, but for the most part, it was just the giant bug that he flies around in, the Blue Beetle. I love that so much. The humor, surprisingly adult. I mean, harmless, but like some moments of it were surprisingly adult, which was funny and unexpected. But for the most part, I mean, it was just fun humor. So we got Matt Lanter, absolutely perfect as the Blue Beetle. Like he has a very distinct, potentially like 60s, 70s voice for Blue Beetle. Justice needs to be served, that type of thing. And like, I just think that his voice, it was very distinct from Throne of Atlantis. The second I heard that he was cast as Blue Beetle, I was like, that is perfect. He did a great job. Some really good one-liners. So he comes in, he's fighting the Squid Gang. I'm not here to leave mints on the pillows. What was another one? I haven't lost a game of keep away yet when they're trying to. So the Squid Gang comes in. The initial kind of opening sequence is, but after the TV intro, which was amazing, especially because it's just a short. It's not even a real series. So to give it an animated series intro was a lot of fun. And then the opening sequence was the Squid Gang stealing this diamond. So when they're throwing around the diamond, I haven't lost a game of keep away yet. And then the Squid Gang's like, there's always a first. There's always a first time for everything, bughead. And just, line after line. What was the other one? Suffering scarabs. Which was so 66, it's like, holy whatever, Batman, that Robin used to say. Just so much of the corny, alliterations that we would get, fine feathered finks and all the stuff that you would hear in 66 in this is a lot of fun. The question was a blast. I absolutely love the question. It was Vic Sage, the question. You know what? Let me go back for a second because I completely skipped the character/comic background. Whoops. Sorry, my thing's running really slow right now. Since like many of the showcase shorts, Blue Beetle's not one of the best known DC characters. As we said before, he's better known, especially because of Jaime Reyes and stuff, than the Losers and Commandy. But, so as always, we're just going to do some quick background on the character and then comic history as well. Even IGN said, what was the IGN quote? Yeah, I said this before. Blue Beetle and Constantine are certainly the more well-known properties. We said that. But this is from DC Universe Infinite. And check it out, guys. I can show you as well since we got a fancy new... I'm so full of myself right now. I love it. Oh, look at that. You can see what I see. So we're dealing with a Silver Age Ted Kord, because again, this is like a Silver Age animated series. Ted Kord kept his vow. Let me maximize that. Ted Kord kept his vow to become the next Blue Beetle, but he soon discovered that the Scarab did not work for him. Nevertheless, Ted trained himself to become an expert fighter and got into prime physical shape. He also used his scientific genius to create a variety of crime-fighting gadgets and also made himself an advanced flying vehicle shaped like a large beetle, which he nicknamed the Bug. Fashioning his own Blue Beetle costume, he soon established his own identity as a superhero, and even without powers, came to eventually equal Dan Garrett, who was the previous Blue Beetle, who we'll get into in just a second. And then finally, operating out of Chicago, Ted took over his father's company, Kord Omniversal, and under his guidance, it became one of the top tech companies in the world. So what's interesting here, once again, is that Ted trained himself, as it says, to become an expert fighter, got himself into prime physical shape, used a scientific blah, 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 blah. But, even without powers, this is what's most interesting. Even without powers, came to eventually equal Dan Garrett. So it's cool because this is almost a Batman Beyond thing insofar as Ted Kord, just a quick history of Ted Kord regarding this is he's a guy who deserves the mantle. He earns the mantle, but he's not Bruce Wayne, right? He's not a super genius like Batman himself, but he is worthy of the mantle of Batman, or he has to prove it. And although this guy does take a very Bruce Wayne approach, it's a kind of a Terry McGinnis mantle of the Blue Beetle because, and I'm pretty sure Jaime Reyes, the inheritor of the proud legacy of crime fighting, Jaime Reyes is the third individual to bear the name Blue Beetle. Yeah, so So to go back of the origin, the Golden Age, I'm not going to read all this, but, the original hero to use the name Blue Beetle was Dan Garrett, who was an archaeologist. One day while working on a dig in Egypt, he discovered a strange blue scarab totem of an unknown age and origin. The scarab, later revealed to belong to the pharaoh Ka-F-Re, granted Garrett incredible powers, which he used to escape a cave inside the tomb. Dan used these powers to battle evil as one of America's mystery men, the Blue Beetle. Dan used these new powers to battle evil as one of America's, mystery men, the Blue Beetle. Okay, so one of the mystery men was called the Blue Beetle. Got it. During the golden age of the 1940s, the Scarab gave Garrett super strength, invulnerability, flight, and the ability to project energy bolts from both his hands and other enhanced senses. So he got the powers of the Blue Beetle through the Scarab, which kind of biologically, connected to him. and gave him the power. So the powers for him are innate, which is interesting. It's almost like a Green Lantern thing versus what Ted Kord has to do, which is once again kind of recreate the tech of the Blue Beetle. So it's important probably to give you that background because once again, this is different from the Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle that we're probably going to end up seeing in the movie, or that we're definitely seeing in the movie coming up. And I just, again, thought that was interesting that he has to recreate the tech of the Blue Beetle and kind of probably prove himself even more than other Beetles. So yeah, going back to my notes here. The Question, they did Vic Sage, The Question, not Renee Montoya. Silver Age, I think he started off in the Silver Age. I didn't do all the research on The Question, but an absolutely great character, featureless, has no face. People always say, Kevin Smith has said it, a bunch of people have said it, that would be a perfect live action movie. They created a great duo of opposites. So it's kind of this buddy cop between the Blue Beetle and The Question, but it's a really fun mystery. Sorry, it's a great duo of opposites because they're such different characters. People say that The Question would be perfect in live action because you really just have to put I guess now you can do whatever you want with special effects, but you can literally put the dude in a trench coat and a hat, you're done, and just not give him a face, enough makeup to not give him a face. Easily done in live action. So it's a very kind of bare bones, street level noir detective, but then he's teamed up with like the biggest of big, shameless, flying around in a bug Silver Age character. That was a lot of fun. He's full of pithy and humorous quotes, which were a lot of fun. Something about how moral truths. This is what the Blue Beetle said. He goes, "I'd love to hear something about how moral truths exist independently of human knowledge or whatever," because he's always talking about these like greater, more philosophical ideas about objectivity and truth to just get to the truth of things versus, and this fits into the kind of the theme of the little movie here of not letting emotions get in your way. And then, Blue Beetle says something like, "Am I not going to be able to have kids after doing this?" And he goes, "That is a question for your urologist." Thought that was a lot of fun. Another fun quote. "We can evade reality, but we cannot evade the consequences of evading reality." Again, these really just, I should stop saying fun, but that's what they are. Fun, philosophical kind of pithy quotes. Love the flying bug. The old tech inside of that. Those reel-to-reel computers with the printout. I forgot what you used to call those, the dot. But whatever it was, it would print out things that were like holes, and it spoke binary like directly to the computer, the zeros and ones. That's how old, this is a 60s, 70s computer that he's got in this flying bug. And it's just, again, this shameless Silver Age tech. I love how it analyzed that one penny that had the Zort's cola on it. So the whole plot is this: the Squid Gang, again in our opening sequence, Ted Kord catches the Squid Gang stealing this diamond. Then it leads him and The Question to Zort's cola, where they then find out that ultimately Dr. Spectro is using Zort's cola as mind control, and he's going to eventually use the diamonds that he had the Squid Gang steal to hook it up to the what the hell is this thing called? It doesn't matter. But some other ridiculous, what was it called? The telescopic amplifier. He's going to use the diamond with the telescopic amplifier to then control the emotions of the masses and take over. So just a really awesome, very Silver Age plot here. Some more old tech. He's like, "I see you have a closed circuit TV security system." When they're in that like bohemian store of that hippie dude who runs that one shop where they sell the Zort's cola, and it's basically a head shop where they have the Zort's cola, and he's got all these very dated, very late 60s references of like, yeah, man, jazz. He's an old hippie, an old stoner hippie burnout guy who owns a shop. But yeah, I love that. "You have a closed circuit TV security system." So they use the tape from that because the funny part was he said it's a new closed circuit, like as if that was new technology. That was hilarious. The secret identity thing. Ted Kord doesn't want The Question to know, as if The Question didn't already know going into it. And he flat out was just like, "Yeah, so you as Ted Kord, blah, blah, blah." And then he's like, I don't know what I am not Ted Kord. And then finally, like, he just goes, yeah, all right, designed by Ted Kord. Because he just has to admit this one thing that they need is obviously designed by Ted Kord to solve the mystery. And then right after the Ted Kord unmasked transition, so it's not even him in the Blue Beetle suit, it's Ted Kord unmasked, and then do the that was really funny. The 66 transition with Ted Kord unmasked. Dr. Spectro was a lot of fun once again. Artificially controls the emotions of the squids, which is a callback to the beginning of, even for a dopey little short, this writer Jeremy Adams crushed it. Like, you know, even in the beginning, Blue Beetle was like, I've never seen the squid so emotional before. Which honestly was like a really refreshing change of pace from traditional mind control. Like, mind control is even in things as like street level, quote unquote, is that like Jessica Jones show on Netflix. Like, all this shit is so much stuff unnecessarily uses mind control. I'm like, why mind control? So for this to honestly like change that pace going to emotions, that was whatever. Even for like, I wish that Jessica Jones series used that instead. That would have been a lot more fun. Oh yeah. Well, I thought one of the funniest effects was going back to that burnout hippie guy of the shop owner. What is jazz? What if jazz is like the biggest sellout of all, man? Because everyone's doubting themselves. Ted Kord's like, everything about me is a lie. Yeah, man. So Dr. Spectre tries to use the diamond as a telescopic amplifier, ultimately fails. But before that, Nightshade and Captain Atom come under his control. So some more shout outs to some classic DC heroes. I mean, Captain Atom, Nightshade, these are deep ass cuts. And it's so funny that Nightshade and Captain Atom, once again, are under the control of Dr. Spectro. They shoot in through the, portals that Nightshade's able to create. And I think the only other time I ever saw Nightshade was it Batman, Superman, Public Enemies. But yeah, it was cool to get, somebody random in here. And the line that Ted Kord has to Nightshade, but you hate Spectro more than you hate an outdoor brunch in Palm Springs. Oh, it's so funny. You hate Spectro more than you hate an outdoor brunch in Palm Springs. So specific, so Silver Age. That is such a very like California late 60s or early 70s spot with all like the mid-century kind of desert architecture that you get out there. Very modern, mid-century modern. So funny. And then the question, a question for Nightshade. How would you like a nice, refreshing soda? Because before that, he has Captain Atom He changes the molecular makeup of the Zort's cola so that at an atomic level, so that he can now use it as an antidote for the mind control, which is very clever of the question. And then a question for Nightshade. How would you like a nice, refreshing soda? Sprays it all over. She gets better, she is then cured. And then they all, of course, go after Spectro. So much fun. And then the ending was perfect too, because Spectro actually gets away. But it kind of gives you, the little lesson that they're trying to teach her, which is like the value, two lessons really, is the value of objectivity, right? Because the question like breaks out of the spell by going, wait a second, this isn't logical, because he logics through everything. He's kind of the Spock of the DC universe. He's very Batman in that way too, where he's like the hardest to control minds. He's the hardest to get under the spell of mind control because his mind is so powerful, right? That is his superpower. And for the question to kind of have that same thing was cool because he's like logicking through everything the way Spock would, and then just goes through the steps and he goes, this is not a fact. That's not a fact. And he goes, and the fact is, I'm about to knock you out. I thought that was such a funny line that as he's breaking out of it, he's finally like, wait a second, here's a fact. I'm about to knock you out. And then after they're broken out of the spell, so it's like, oh, don't let the emotions get the best of you. And, all the kind of more obvious lessons there with a Dr. Spectro. Anything with Dr. Spectro is going to be like, all right, he controls people's emotions. Don't let your emotions get the best of you. But then it's a fun thing that the Blue Beetle flips it on the question because then he's like, because then the question is forced into emotion when once again the Spectro escapes. He's like, oh no, Spectro has escaped. And the question's like, no, he can't, but that's not. And then they go into the thing of like, you know, it's not logical for him to escape, or it's objectively wrong for injustice to exist or something like that. Like there's now a void of justice. So it's objectively wrong to not fill it as a crime fighter. But then they can't find him at the time because he's an elusive supervillain of the Silver Age. So they kind of have to give up for a minute at the end and not give up, but just not give into emotions once again. And then that's where Ted Kord, Blue Beetle's like, wait a second, are you admitting you're being emotional? He's like, I am not. Then he's like, how about I buy you a soda? And then they wrap it up because it's a funny late 60s, early 70s Silver Age cartoon. So to have even little themes like that, I thought writing-wise was pretty impressive and surprising that like you subverted expectations with improving on mind control. And then you not only had a lesson about the value of kind of objectivity and not letting your emotions get the best of you, but then you flip that on the question. I mean, that it played again back into the how they're a perfect duo together. You give us these two fun little themes at the end. You get your fun. I got to stop saying fun. You get your, DC nods with other obscure characters like the Atom and even Nightshade, even more obscure, Dr. Spectro, with them coming in. You even get like a heroes versus hero excuse with the mind control thing. So that was a lot of fun, man. It felt like watching Scooby-Doo, the New Adventures of Batman from the 70s, Batman 66, and C-Lab all rolled into one. C-Lab 2020/2021. As an old school Adult Swim fan, I was a huge fan of this entire thing. It was a lot of fun. In fact, that's what I have more nostalgia for. I'm not old enough. I'm 36. Like these cartoons are way out of my league. But between when FX Channel first came out, when Cartoon Network first came out, and the FX Channel to an extent with my 66 background, but Batman 66 background, when those two channels first came out in the mid 90s, they were all legacy content. They didn't have original content. I'm pretty sure they had no original content when they dropped. So it was like whatever they could get hands on that's vintage. So I caught up on Super Friends, Scooby-Doo, just you name any old school cartoon, I watched it all, as well as live action stuff. But then when C-Lab, it was funny when Adult Swim started doing it, it's like they took those old cartoons that that I had watched, like C-Lab 2020, and now it's C-Lab 2021. So it's funny that I have like double nostalgia for these things. Like my childhood nostalgia is for the old school stuff, even though it wasn't really my childhood stuff. I grew up with Batman the Animated Series, stuff like that. But then it was also like, I have a nostalgia for my early 20s, just getting blazed out of my mind and watching C-Lab. So thank you to Jeremy Adams, Milo Newman, Rick Morales, and everyone involved in this. It was a complete home run. And DC Entertainment, guys. So that is it for a review of DC Showcase Shorts Blue Beetle. Hope you guys like the new format. Hope I didn't trip over my words too much. Hope you can actually hear what I'm saying. This whole video isn't a complete waste. What are we at? 33 minutes. With new tech, when you're using it, you have no idea until you hit end stream. This could all be silent. It's happened to me before. A lot of fun. Before we go, we have our our Showcase Short review series. We're in the midst of that right now. That's on our audio show. Again, the DC Animated Movie Show podcast. Subscribe over there. We're in the midst of that. We have done so far Phantom Stranger, Adam Strange. I'm missing one. We have Death coming up. And then we did a 2-part for Death because Death is that good. We also covered Kamandi Last Boy on Earth. Point is, all of the shorts from 2019 through 2021, we have our Showcase Short review series, and that is once again on the DC Animated Movie Show podcast, and our Long Halloween coverage. So speaking, once again, this was released, Blue Beetle was released with Long Halloween Part 2. We have our reviews for Long Halloween Part 1. We have a review for Long Halloween Part 2. I personally liked Long Halloween Part 1 better. I still thought Part 2 was fantastic. 3, 2, 1 spoilers. It is connecting now to the greater, it is the new DeCamu. So that's a lot of excitement there. If you're a fan of these movies connecting, we have a new DCAMO, a new DC animated movie universe with JS World War II, Superman Man of Tomorrow, and now this. It's got that thick black outline, kind of like Archer animation style, paper textured backgrounds, and I think it's going to be a good universe. We saw our first glimpse of Green Arrow in our post credits of Batman Long Halloween Part 2. So I did think Long Halloween 2 was good. I just think Part 1 was a lot better. So once again, if you're new here at the channel, please consider subscribing on YouTube. Click that notification bell so you don't miss any of our new content. And for the podcast listeners, please subscribe to the pod. Just like the vid series, we are a DC Animated Movie Show. You can find the podcast on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Again, this particular episode is available in both video and audio form, so you get to pick your poison for today's show. But again, please subscribe to both, since there's plenty of YouTube stuff you're obviously not going to find on the podcast, and vice versa. Follow us on Instagram. We are at DC Animated Movie Show. And follow the YouTube channel as well. We are at Batman Beyond Media. So this has been Benjamin David. And remember, animated, we stand. All right, guys. All right, YouTube. Hope you guys like that. I am looking forward, again, to having this format, feeling a little more natural on here, not being scripted, being a little more present. And as I embark on other YouTube projects, video projects, other YouTube channels that I'm inevitably starting. I do have a production company that produces all this stuff, Benjamin David Studios, and it is exciting to just get new pieces of tech as you go, right? So it's a year this month that actually it's a year plus we've been on YouTube. Our official launch was in October, so we're really coming up on our official kind of 1 year here on YouTube. So this is really exciting to up our game here. I know sound quality especially is very important, especially if it's going to convert to audio for a podcast. So believe me, it's driven me nuts that the sound quality wasn't where I had wanted it to be. I don't think it was bad. It just wasn't where I wanted it to be. And to step up all this visually, fingers crossed it works. And shout out once again to James Strecker at the DC